What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Naia Lax updates. A little later than usual. Sorry, we had Easter and then I got the flu. So fun times over here. How we doing today, Tucker?
We're doing great. We almost had another plot twist. As I was telling John, I dropped my hard drive, which I store all the episodes on, about 5 minutes before showtime. Thought it wasn't going to work anymore. So we almost had to delay the podcast another day. Basically, the world doesn't want us to podcast, but we're here podcasting for the NAI Lax community anyway. We're back. We're alive. I feel like I'm a retired athlete now. It's weird to say that I'm no longer a college lacrosse player. I am now a full-time box lacrosse player. So yay. Awesome, I guess. We'll touch on that. Oh, that's actually the start of our show notes. Okay. You have any questions, John?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what were the emotions like going into your final game? I know that could be a little tough to deal with. I remember back in the day for myself.
Yeah.
And just kind of processing that through the past, I guess, week or so.
Yeah, it's been strange, and is the same way for me my senior year of high school. Of my senior graduating class for high school, we had a big roster, but it was like me and one other kid that ended up playing college lacrosse that were committed. And so at that point of high school senior day last game, I was like, yeah, it's emotional, but I get to go play college lacrosse. So I was looking forward to the next thing. And it's kind of weirdly the same thing around, I guess, this time, in the sense that, for me, I know a lot of guys, when they're done with college lacrosse, a lot of them are done with lacrosse altogether. But for me, it's like I'm already planning our Dogfish semi-pro season, which starts in July. I'm already planning box lacrosse tournaments. So my lacrosse playing days are absolutely nowhere near the end. I'll tell you that right now. But it's been strange, removing myself from the mental mindset of yeah, I'm a college athlete. Like they say, you hit it hard from the start, and it's weird. The motivation to go to the gym is different now. Every aspect of it is a strange thing. So guys, value every second you get. Despite the score, which we'll talk about, against St. Ambrose, I feel like we really went out on a high note, and it was awesome. A lot of friends showed up. Got to see friends on St. Ambrose that I haven't seen for a while, and summer teammates in my last game to match up against them. It was a beautiful night under the lights, a great crowd at Burroughs Field here in Dubuque. So it was as cinematic of a moment as you could possibly ask for to end a college career. I know our sports information director and my girlfriend both commented on me walking across the field looking like I was out of it or in a daze, when in reality, I was just soaking it all in for one last time, looking across that field. It is strange. I reflect on it with nothing but a positive attitude and feel value for the days I got. It's even stranger, I would say, realizing that I only played 3 years. I looked back at my games the other day and I only played 30 some games. And I was like, that's so weird to think that was only 3 years of time, but that 3 years of time flew by in a massive way. So sayonara to playing college lacrosse to me. Hello to more content and more box lacrosse. So I'm a happy camper who gets to now join your club as an officially retired college lacrosse player. So here we are, folks.
Yeah, and I've actually finally decided, because I have really not played much lax at all since being done with college. So I'm actually playing a men's league this summer with my younger brother. So that'll be pretty interesting to see how that goes.
A little bit of competition between you and him, maybe.
I know he's gonna get mad watching this. I think I'm still the better player, the older brother.
Yeah, that is competitive. That's competition right there, man.
Yeah, no, we definitely compete a little bit on that one.
Good. Yeah, no, it's great to be back, guys. We missed you for our long hiatus there. There's been a lot of lacrosse to talk about in the NAI since we talked to you last. The buzz of the playoffs is here for some conferences. For other conferences, they're still playing regular season games.
So weird.
But it's super weird. We'll touch on it. There's a lot to talk about. You want to start out with your brother?
Yeah, so he finally made his commitment. He's going to Tennessee Wesleyan. So shout out to Cole, my younger brother. I'm extremely excited because that's only about 2 hours away from home. So still get to go to most of those games. And yeah, I'm super excited for it.
That's awesome. No, I'm super pumped for your brother, and it's been it's been cool to kind of follow some of his recruiting journey through you and our conversations weekly. Awesome choice. We get to say T-Dub a lot more, and we get to say Bulldogs a lot more. So that's great. And he's not going too far from home either. He's staying in the South in some degree. So that's really exciting for you and for him. And we get to watch his college lacrosse journey next.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. All right, guys, let's jump into the meat of the podcast, the area that you really want to hear about, the scores and the breakdowns. And we're going to go ahead and start right out. Right now I got the NAI stats and Presto Sports schedule pulled up here in a different tab. And then we'll talk kind of off of those and then the show notes as well, thanks to John. First one up on both the show notes and the schedule, William Penn and Columbia. And man, this is kind of fun. This is a fun one to start out at because I don't know what we picked for this one. You didn't pick. I don't remember if I said anything about picks. In a lot of ways, I do kind of want to say it's an upset, but also not because of how well William Penn has been playing in certain areas. So give us the breakdown from that game. What are you thinking? Great win for William Penn, kind of to close out regular season play there.
Yeah, that was definitely a big one. I guess the main shocking thing would be so much as the score. I mean, I probably would have thought going in it could have gone either way. Just Columbia having such a great offense and great goalie, but being a little bit inconsistent defensively, and then William Penn having a high-powered offense as well. So that's one that could really go either way. It just seemed like William Penn won the faceoffs, controlled possession a lot, limited the CC looks. And I think that was kind of a glimpse at what William Penn is on their best day.
I 100% agree. That's a great way to describe this game. I assume this game in the past week reflected in one of the offensive players for William Penn, freshman, getting 2 player of the week nominations or wins for the KCAC. Remind me of his name, and I feel bad, man. I apologize. I've been seeing your picture all over the place, so shout out to you. But who was that with the back-to-back offensive players of the week there?
That was Breck Putsier, I believe is how you pronounce the last name.
Great name. So I apologize even more for forgetting it, man. But going off right there, 2 KCAC player of the week offensive awards there. So cool to see and a great little area to highlight. Moving down the line in our schedule, St. Ambrose and Clarke. We played St. Ambrose again. We just referenced it a minute ago to close out my college career here at Burroughs Field. Again, absolutely awesome atmosphere that night. It's always wonderful to play under the lights. If you haven't seen a picture of Burroughs Field here at Clarke, we're not flat Iowa. We're on the bluffs above the Mississippi. So it's a beautiful view for sunset, and then the lights turn on and it's a great atmosphere. And that's exactly what we had happen. I will be honest too, pregame of that game, I decided before everyone arrived, I was out there shooting. I was going to take the aux and crank it up full blow. I put on a little bit of country music for a change and then tuned it up there and got to take some shots. And so that was a fun little way to start that one out.
Tucker, we're going to have to get a shirt on it that says "We're not flat Iowa" and put a Clarke logo on the back.
I like that one because it's the easiest way to describe us is we're not flat Iowa. If you go 30 miles towards the middle of the state, it's flat Iowa. I'll tell you that right now. It's flat out Iowa. That's what it is right there. But no, this game was a fun one. I know it was kind of back and forth going into the half, battle from both guys on both sides of the game. Couldn't be more proud to be with my team on that day. Everybody stepping it up. I saw a different lacrosse player from each of our guys step out. And it was so cool. It was one of those things where you just wanted to hug everybody at half. It was a proud moment. Despite the score, it was really a proud moment for us. And then the Ambrose offense kind of took it away in the second half there. But still, hang our hats high on that one and shout out to Ambrose for coming together with another win. Very proud altogether to be a part of that game and to play a really great opponent in Ambrose as well. Do you have Ottawa? Yes. Okay. Next one up. Ottawa and Benedictine. Benedictine 17, Ottawa 10. This one was interesting to me. I don't know how to feel about it, to be honest with you. And we have a lot of active listeners from both teams here. You guys have been really supportive to us, especially these two teams for a long time. Um, these are two really good teams. And I think these are two teams we're going to see get better and better and better in the national perspective. Um, I part of me expected Ottawa to kind of take this game. That was really kind of where my mind was, but it looked like it was back and forth for so much of it before Benedictine pulled away that I couldn't really tell what was going on. Just really two high-powered offenses. Benedictine, especially when they're firing on all cylinders, they're a very high-powered offense. I think there's two good defensive teams in this team as well. There's two good face-off guys on these teams. I think this is kind of any day of the week I'd want to see this game be played. That's my thought there. What did you take from that one?
Yeah, this is one I kind of had circled as well as being a key matchup. Just kind of both teams wanting to be in the NAI tournament as well as proceeding in the KCAC. And I got to be honest, I thought Ottawa was going to take this one. I mean, it just seems like right when we write off Benedictine for dead, they come out and play phenomenal. And I think part of that was due to just kind of watching them both like Cumberland's earlier in the week, where Ottawa had a much better showing than Benedictine. So I thought maybe that would carry over, but it clearly didn't. And Benedictine looked fired up and ready to go, kind of saving their season more or less with that victory.
Yeah, I think my thought is from both teams going into this was that it was going to be a grudge match. And it is. It's two. If you guys haven't seen Ottawa or Benedictine play this year or in the past several years, these are fun teams to watch. They're really, really fun teams to watch. So kind of keep an eye on them as we move forward into NAI lacrosse history, I guess we could say. Moving on from that game, we had Missouri Valley and St. Mary. This was a 1-goal game back and forth. St. Mary wins this one 11-10 over Missouri Valley. Not too much to say here. It just was. It was these two teams fighting for each other, fighting for a win to close out the season. And that's what we saw in that game with St. Mary coming away with it. Moving right down the line, we move into Wednesday, April 13th into WHAC play. Again, guys, if you don't know, the WHAC is still in regular season play, or they were, I guess, as of today. Maybe it was the last day for that. Kind of an unusual one. We had talked about this earlier, that the WHAC is kind of the only conference, I think, left that hasn't set up really a playoff picture yet. We're gonna get to the point soon where we're gonna see a playoff picture, I think, and we're seeing that with these last couple of games. Cleary 3, Lords 16 in that game to start out. I don't think there's too much to talk about there. Lords gets a win there to continue moving on. Aquinas 22, Taylor 6. What are your thoughts on that one? I know Taylor was kind of a mixed bag at the start of the year. We didn't know what to expect. They hung with some good teams. They didn't with other teams. They were a little bit all over the place. I personally, if I was a betting man, am one to think that program really only gets better because they've shown that over just the last few years alone.
Yeah, I definitely think they're an improving bunch. I will say I've been a little bit disappointed in the way they've kind of tapered off a little bit as the season's gone along, but my understanding of it's kind of more injury related than anything, so you can't really blame them too much for that.
Absolutely.
But definitely some bright spots in the year to build upon going into next year.
Yeah, would agree with that one. Then we got St. Mary was supposed to play Missouri Baptist. That game was canceled. I don't have further details on why that was canceled. I just don't know, to be honest with you. And then Indiana Tech 17, Madonna 11. This one's a little bit interesting. I think, again, this is a situation with two really good teams. I know we all expected Indiana Tech to be really good. That was not, a surprise at all for Indiana Tech to be a good team this year. Madonna, we didn't know 100% of who they were returning, what their team looked like. It was a little bit in question. I think that they've proven in a lot of ways that they're still a very, very good program. This score 17-11, regardless of a 6-goal differential, putting up 11 goals in Indiana Tech is no short feat at all.
Yeah, Madonna still has a very good offense and a very good goalie. The only thing I'll say about Madonna and kind of just that mid-tier of the WHAC in general is it's a little bit inconsistent, I would say, where we don't know how the teams are going to fare day to day, as we'll see as we cover some of the other scores going around.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This next one's kind of a cool one. Concordia 8, Siena Heights 13. It really does seem to me like towards the end of the year, Concordia has turned it up a notch. I've seen, even if they're not winning games, these scores are very close against good teams. I think a 13-8 score against Siena Heights on the hot streak that they've been is a good showing for Concordia, to be honest with you. I think a lot of teams slept on Siena Heights. We called it. We called it. I'll tell you right here. We called it, folks. Listen to podcast number 3. But I will say I think that's a good showing kind of for Concordia towards the end of their season right there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. As you look at the scores later on in the week, it continues to improve for Concordia. And from talking to a little bit of people close to the program, it's just they've been decimated with injuries. I think someone told me they had 2 out of 3 starting poles get hurt, maybe even 3 out of 3 at one point were down. But then Hunter McCarty as well. So it seems like the young guys are finally starting to gel a little bit and getting used to playing college ball.
Good. And that's, guys, you know, if we were going to make a stocks rising or a chart that showed which programs, you know, we feel comfortable putting our faith in moving forward, I think Concordia is very much on that as well. They have a young roster. They're in a good area to recruit. I think there's a lot of factors in that program that will allow them to grow. And as these teams grow, the rest of the NAI does too, which is really good to see right there. Next up, Lawrence Tech 16, Michigan Dearborn 15. What did you think about that? I know we don't have show notes on it, but I think does that kind of reflect a battle for mid-tier WHAC in your mind?
Yeah, I think it really does. I mean, Dearborn's been one of the more surprising teams in just how competitive they've been in most of the games this year. I mean, they have 2 outstanding guys on offense. Kelly is one, and then there's another one. I'm drawing a blank on the name, top of my head, but as I said, they have 2 really good players on offense. Then if the defense can just get a little bit more consistent, I think they could easily move into that mid-tier, like, for good.
Agreed. Very, very much agreed. I'm actually, these are 2 teams I'm excited to see them grow. I think the WHAC will be in a position to add teams. I just think that their conference and their region of the country could continue to grow. And that gives these 2 teams right here alone the opportunity to get better and better in conference as well. Moving right down the line, AAC tournament quarterfinals. You're excited to talk about this. This is a conference you're oh so familiar with. Starting it out with St. Andrews and Cumberland's. St. Andrews 2, Cumberland's 21 in the quarterfinals there. Is there anything you saw from that you want to talk about? Was it a fair matchup from the start? What did you think?
I gotta be honest, this just wasn't a good matchup for St. Andrews both times they met this year. As we've talked about before, St. Andrews just decimated with injuries. I was kind of hoping they could get a couple guys back going into the tournament, maybe make it a little bit closer than people would have thought, but they just weren't able to get guys healthy in time, unfortunately. So I think they'll have a much better campaign next year once they get those guys back. But really, it just started with time of possession and face-off. They just couldn't get the ball a lot from what I saw. And when you're playing a team with shooters like Cumberland's has, if you're not keeping the ball away from them, it's going to be a long afternoon.
Amen to that. I think that's a good summary there of what we saw. Vanover with 5 goals and 1 assist. Kava with 4 goals. Kava with 4 goals. There are kind of 2 offensive stats to bring up there. And as we move on, Cumberland's does advance on to the next round as well. Moving over, we have Weber playing Keiser, and this was a playoff matchup?
Yeah, it was the playoff matchup.
That's right. Okay, so this is, so we got Weber 8, Keiser 9. Again, we go right back to what we said after the last time these 2 teams played. It's the battle for NAI Florida. On top of that, I think it is anybody's game between these 2 any day of the week, and you're looking at a 1 to 2 goal game every single time they play. And once again, that's what we saw here. Keiser takes the win there. Weber continues their hopes for an at-large bid. I know from what I'm seeing on social media there as well. Special shout out to the Weber guys sending in some awesome thoughts and comments and great conversations with a few of those guys over the past week or so. So shout out to you guys for following along with the pod. What did you kind of see from that game? And it was just a great game.
Yeah, I mean, this was almost identical to the game prior. I mean, I know the score was a little bit lower. I want to say off the top of my head, it was 13-12, the original matchup the week prior. But I mean, It was pretty dang similar. I mean, back and forth the whole game. Really came down to the last possession as well. The one thing I'd say is it seems like Weber has had a little bit of face-off struggles in this one. Just Provines is really good at winning the clamp directly to himself, and seemed like he got the edge in that one. He won 17 and 19 face-offs. Stassi with 3 goals, 1 assist. One of the big things I noticed was I think it was maybe 5 minutes to go or 6 minutes to go. Weber got 2 penalties back to back when they were down 1. So
I
that
remember
really
that.
kind of limited the possessions they got towards the end.
Yeah, that game slowed down a lot. Like it was a lot of stoppage. There was timeouts being called. There was penalties. I remember watching this being like, "Come on, just get the game going, man." But it was that's a great way to kind of sum that one up there. I would agree. But man, hats off. Obviously, highest of hopes for the guys at Weber for an at-large bid. We've been really impressed with what you guys have been able to do this year. You're a young program under good leadership, going in nothing but an awesome direction. And between Keiser and Weber being in Florida, I only hope we see more NAI teams pop up in Florida, because I think there's a real opportunity for something great there. So special hats off to the Weber guys there for doing something awesome this season and continuing to kind of defy all odds in my mind, especially. Moving down the line, Saturday, April 16th, we saw Siena Heights and Madonna. Siena Heights 12, Madonna 9. Again, Madonna's hanging in there with kind of the top tier teams right now in the WHAC, but Siena Heights pulls out another win there in typical Siena Heights fashion. Love to see that right there. We got Taylor and Michigan Dearborn. Michigan Dearborn taking an 18-6 win there. That's a big win for Dearborn. Moving down the line, Concordia 10, Lawrence Tech 6. It's great. Again, Concordia getting those kind of late season wins in there, not giving up fight. You like to see that as well. Cleary 1, Indiana Tech 30. Guys, we talked about kind of our opinions on these type of scores before. There's not too much to kind of talk about again right there. I really, the honest way to say, if you don't know these two programs right now, they're just in two completely different spots. Indiana Tech is on a up and up and up and up, where they've been really, really good the past several years, and Cleary is in a rebuilding. I think Cleary will once again be a good team, but right now they're in a rebuilding situation, and that's kind of what results in a score like this. That's the good way to say that in my mind. KCAC quarterfinals. I'm scrolling down to the notes here to make sure I get this all right. Columbia 10, William Penn 8. What did we see here? Because this is a different score from what we saw before.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything we talked about the first time they played, just throw that out the window, and that's what happened in this one. I mean, Columbia did a much better job defensively, and they controlled the face-off play, which was something that was a bit unexpected if you watched the first matchup. I mean, those were the two biggest things that I would say. What did you see from this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good, and honestly, I think in an accurate way, these two teams are pretty neck and neck most days of the week. I think the first score we saw was probably just William Penn turning on the offense in a big way. This score right here between these two teams is something that I feel like I would have expected this year. I think they're both in very similar spots right now. The age of their rosters on both teams has now leveled out to be pretty similar as well. Their numbers are not too far apart from my understanding. There's a lot of similarities here in these programs. Columbia coming off of a really big year last year, William Penn continuing to build year in, year out. Special shout out to those William Penn seniors who were the first, seniors to come through there. Really, really impressive guys. You leave behind a legacy of a team that is only going to get better and only going to build. So shout out to those WP seniors there. And good on Columbia for turning things around and moving on into the KCAC bracket. We can talk more about that playoff picture as we go. Aquinas is the next game up here. Aquinas 16, Lords 7. Again, Aquinas is a very good team this year. They have a new coach from this region, actually, of the country, moving over from Division III, who has put together a very impressive first year in the NAI, if you ask me. Nothing but impressive from Aquinas this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be, just in my opinion, the best attack line in NAIA right now, with three guys who will easily be probably first, second team all conference, and at least one will definitely be an All American.
Yeah, no, very much agreed there. That's a good way to say it, is that really is a high powered offense at where we stand right now. The second KCAC game to talk about here for the KCAC tournament opening round, Midland 6, Ottawa 13. Again, happy trails and a very good send off to the Midland guys. You're again a part of a young program putting together something awesome here. I know I play a lot of you guys in box, so I look forward to seeing you Midland guys this summer. But it's been cool to see Midland grow as a program. And I think Ottawa, again, with just the offensive powerhouse they are in this game, they wanted this game very much so. And I think that score reflects it as well.
Yeah, I would say, as you covered, great season for Midland. I mean, probably better than anyone outside of the program would have imagined making it this far.
Very much so.
Hats off to them. And then OU with a nice bounce back win is probably the best way to summarize it. I think they really dug deep. They needed this one. And it sets up the all important rematch with Benedictine. I know that game didn't go the way they wanted last week. I guess I'll put you on the spot as someone who's played both of them. And I guess now you can give a super honest opinion since you don't got to play them again. So what do they need to do to turn it around is my first question. And will they make that adjustment is my second.
Who are we talking about right now?
Ottawa making the adjustment to beat Benedictine or make it closer.
To be honest with you, man, playing Ottawa, I don't think there's that many adjustments to be made. And that seems weird to say for a team outright. And guys, I'm being blatantly honest. I have stood in the field and played against these guys. I know what's going on with these two teams. I think both teams have a really good face-off unit. I think Ottawa in particular has a really good face-off guy that's going to be hard for a lot of people to beat. I think they're pretty equally matched anywhere you look, and their play styles are a little bit different. I think that Benedictine's a little bit more aggressive on their ride normally, I guess maybe would be the right way to say it. But if you watch these two teams play, there's not a lot different. They are both very, very potent offensive teams. I mean, the DeMarco brothers and the rest of their unit on offense for Ottawa is a really impressive offensive unit for any level of lacrosse to see. Benedictine, in my mind, they have a deep rostered offense. They're in a particular position where they have so many guys who have very good skill sets on offense that you can see 3 different guys out there each shift, and they're all making the same offensive moves, which is really, really good to see that there's depth in the offensive unit there. I think both teams have really good goalies, and I think this game in particular, that's a big face-off battle. That's 2 good face-off guys going against each other. Whoever controls the possessions in the Ottawa Benedictine type matchup wins the game in a big way in my mind. I know Ottawa has some good LSMs to kind of get in there as well. Benedictine has good LSMs to get in there as well too. So I really think it comes down to starting with the face-off, and then whatever team obviously can stay the strongest on defense, because both teams be playing against really good offensive units. There's no real way to give an edge to either of these teams, because I think they balance out pretty well. And when we see both teams play to their best of their ability, we see that in the score a lot of times. That's one that if I could pit 2 teams against each other consistently and say that it was an equal matchup, I think this would be a good way to do it between Ottawa and Benny.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be a much closer game than the first one was. I mean, in the first one, Ottawa just got down so quick. I mean, it was 8-1 at the end of the first, and then ended up being 17-10, so a little bit closer than that. But if they can avoid a slow start, I think it could be anyone's game.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. Moving down the line, Wednesday, April 20th was the game we referenced last time. It was the whiteout game at Cleary, and the first 50 fans received a Cleary rally towel. Interesting promotion to get seats in a lacrosse stadium. I'm not against it. I like those kind of minor league baseball type promotions. You like to see it. Taylor takes that game 25-3. I don't know if that shows us the distance of where teams are right now in the WHAC. But again, the only way I can say this is that Cleary is in a rebuilding. And I think anybody that watches right now would see that they have good players and there's good stuff happening, but they're in a rebuilding. I don't know how long it's going to take. I think with 1 or 2 strong recruiting classes and some depth on the roster, they're right there with the rest of the teams, kind of at the mid to low end of the WHAC. Right now, we're just seeing distance based on those factors at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the coach is fairly new there.
Very new.
The former Cumberland's guy.
Very new.
Player.
As not really. I would expect them to be a serious contender in the next couple of years where they are in Michigan, especially.
Yeah, and I've seen them post more commitments this year than I have ever in the past. So
True that.
Looking forward to what they have in the future.
We'll bookmark Cleary there. All right, moving down the line. Madonna 12, Concordia 10. I think that's a cool matchup. I think those teams, in a lot of ways, are probably pretty close together. I don't know that I would say I would expect that score, but that's pretty close to where I'd be envisioning these two teams where they are right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the WHAC standings, I'll have to pull them up. But when I was looking at them earlier today, I think so. 6 teams make it this year to the tournament, and we obviously know who 1, 2, and 3 are. And then there was like a 4-way tie for like 4 through like 7 or 8 was all tied. So I'm like, I have no idea what's going on with that playoff picture. I'll have to go a little bit deeper in it, see who has the wins and losses versus who. But it's kind of a hot mess. But it'll be fun to see it get sorted out.
The WHAC is getting wacky. I wanted to say that one really bad. I'm not going to lie. All right, moving down to another WHAC game here, folks. This was today. So this is today, guys. This is hot off the press. The game just happened. John was texting me about it. I didn't realize it was happening. And I was like, what's going on? And you filled me in on the score there. The final, Siena Heights 7, Aquinas 13. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, most people thought this was a 50-50 game going into it. And, I mean, Aquinas just got a big lead early. I mean, I think it was 7-0 before Siena Heights got on the board. So I definitely didn't see that one coming. I'm not really super shocked that Aquinas won, but that goal margin does surprise me a bit. But, I mean, with that Aquinas offense, nothing should really surprise me, I guess.
Well, now correct me if I'm wrong, but these are two teams that could see each other in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, this was essentially the battle for the 2 seed in the WHAC. So as it stands now, I think Aquinas has officially clinched the 2 seed. And I think Siena Heights still has a pretty good lead for the 3rd spot as well.
Yeah, I think that would make sense right there. So could be one we see again. I agree, though. I think this, in my mind, was a 50-50 kind of game. But hopefully it's a battle we get to see again. I'll say that right now. Next up, we got Lords 11, Lawrence Tech 15. Anything to touch on here?
That's just another one where, as I've been saying, probably over too much the consistency thing, as we saw, especially with Lawrence Tech, where they won a game, then they dropped one to Concordia, which we were kind of scratching our heads about, and now they beat Lords, which is kind of one where I don't think I would have predicted it that way. Like, I don't know. It's just been wild the past couple games for them.
Hey man, it's like we said, the WHAC's getting wacky. You know, that's the whole year for the WHAC. Like I think from the start of a lot of games in the WHAC this year to where we are now, nothing has been predictable. Like really, really, really unpredictable. A lot of ways. I mean, the top 3, yeah. When the season initially started out, we felt strongly that Siena Heights would be in a good position, but they even climbed the leaderboard there as well. So it's been a little bit all over the place for the WHAC, which brings us to the next game. Michigan Dearborn 4, Indiana Tech 19. Man, Indiana Tech, when they get on a roll, they get on a roll. That's the easiest way to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good game through at least the first quarter. I think it finished 4-1 in the first one. You're sitting there thinking, all right, if they can keep up the defense, maybe it can be a little bit closer than expected. And then just down the stretch, they kind of faded.
Yep. Amen to that. And that officially wraps up our conversation of games in the past. We look forward to games tomorrow in the KCAC, especially. We move on to the playoffs. We have Columbia taking on Ambrose in Atchison, Kansas, obviously where the site is for the tournament. So Columbia and Ambrose are taking on each other at Benedictine at 4:00 tomorrow Central Time. And then Ottawa and Benedictine play the night game in Atchison at 7 p.m. Central Time there. So you want to watch some lacrosse tomorrow, guys, and you got some free time after work. Those are 2 games you got to watch. And those are 2 really important games for a lot of reasons moving forward. What are your takes here? We'll do some Naia Lax playoff picks for the first time ever in podcast form. Columbia and St. Ambrose, what are we seeing?
Yeah, I think Ambrose takes this one. I just think they're going to dominate the time of possession a little bit. And I mean, stranger things have happened. Columbia definitely, as we said, has the offense to pull it away if they can get the possession, but I just see it being too much for them.
Agreed. I'll take Ambrose as well for the same reasons. And here we are. This is the one that we're going to pick probably 2 different directions. And just because we're picking Ottawa and Benedictine, I'm going to take Ottawa in this one. And I do think it's anyone's game.
Man, I am torn on this. I think if either one of them can beat Ambrose, I think it would be Benedictine. So just for that reason, I think I'm going to take Benedictine in this one.
Like that. We're looking at, man, this final, however it goes for the final for the KCAC is going to be great. There's no way to deny that one. And then obviously in the semifinals moving forward for the AAC this Friday, April 22nd, not tomorrow, but the next day. It's almost Friday, folks. Keiser and Reinhardt at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to take Reinhardt, but I don't think Keiser is going to give up without a fight.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one game Reinhardt lost in the regular season. So I guess, I don't know. Personally, it makes me a little bit nervous, but as we said a couple of podcasts ago, they haven't lost at Reinhardt since 2016. So, I mean, personally, I just don't see them dropping a game at the home turf. So I'm going to take Reinhardt in another very close one.
Agreed. Then 4 p.m., the second game being hosted by Reinhardt there in the AAC semifinal. We have Cumberland's and Tennessee Wesleyan. Where are your thoughts at? I think these 2 are in a battle position.
Yeah, this one could really go either way. I mean, you could tell me either team won a close one or either team ran away with it, and honestly, nothing would shock me. I believe Tennessee Wesleyan won the regular season matchup by 1 in overtime, so very evenly matched up. The one thing I would keep an eye on is Cumberland has struggled a little bit in these AAC semifinals the past couple of years. They've actually done better in the finals, I would say. So I'm not sure what the reasoning is for that, but I think it could be a close one. Give me T-Dub again, just the face-off advantage. But I think it'll be very competitive.
I'm going to take T-Dub as well. I'm going to ride the T-Dub train on this one. Nothing against Cumberland's in there, guys. My personal opinion right now is just T-Dub and the way they're going. And you put it all on the line type situation. I think that's what we see there. And then kind of moving forward, there's a bunch more regular season WHAC games to take place, which is crazy to say, but there's like 6 more games in the WHAC. We won't even talk about those right now as we're in playoff picture mode. So that pretty much does it for our picks, our recap, the beef of the podcast, guys. That was majority of it right there. What else do we have to talk about? Is there anything that comes to mind? Any questions out there? Any polls? What's going on?
Yeah, I guess just a couple of questions to wrap it up that I got sent. First one, do top seeds deserve conference tournament buys? Because I know that's something that's, at least for the AAC, it's been new the past couple of years just with them expanding. And I don't really remember how the KCAC and WHAC have done it in the past.
I personally am pro that idea. I think if you win out the regular season and you're the team that takes that number 1 spot, I think you won something. And I think that's a fair thing to win as a buy in that first one. Get an extra couple days or a week of rest, get some more time to scout out, watch the first round type situation. If you battle and win that first that first place in the tournament, I think it's beyond fair to be getting a buy.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have even a harsher opinion on this. I don't even like that there's a week in between the quarterfinals and semifinals. I want 3 games in 4 days. Like, if you're the lower seed, win 3 games in 4 days. Make it happen. And I know that's kind of a harsh opinion to have, but I don't know. There's just something weird to me about having a quarterfinal and then waiting like a week and then doing a semifinal and then a back-to-back championship game. I don't know, just a little weird. I wish it was a little bit more close together, honestly, but
It also can become kind of hard to follow at times too with that separation.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. Just a little bit too long of a gap. But I mean, I think if you earn the first seed, you do deserve a bye. I mean, I don't really want to see the 1 seed play like an 8 seed or something like that personally, and then a 2 versus 7. I mean, sometimes those matchups are good, but usually they're not too great.
I don't think that's what we're going to see this year.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
either.
no, I don't. I agree with you. I'm with you on that one for sure. What else do you have? Anything else? Final thoughts or ideas?
I had a ton of people asking me about the Weber just scenarios they make it, and I've heard anything from a lot of people in the AAC think they still have a shot, as crazy as it would be to get 5 in. I'm really not sure about how I feel about it just because I hear from other people that that's completely ludicrous and there's 0% chance it happens. And I think I'm honestly somewhere in between. I think the Siena Heights result today helps them a little bit, but I'm not sure what else they would need exactly. I mean, maybe a hard fought victory between Benedictine and Ottawa with the winner of that getting absolutely like destroyed in the championship may give them some hope, but I really don't know if it's going to be hard to deny the KCAC 2 seed or the championship runner up, I should say.
Agreed.
What are your thoughts on this?
Podcast listeners, if you are hearing anything that is not coming from my voice in the podcast, my apologies. I am an RA. I do live on campus. There's a lot going on in my hallway right now. I should probably be worried about, but it's podcast time. I'm with you in the same sense that I want Weber to get in. I do. I think that it would be good to see them in. I really do. I'm mixed in the same way where I could see it happening and I could also see them getting gypped and it not happening. And I think they are at the complete middle ground of whether it happens or whether it doesn't happen. Like I don't think there's any way to be like, no, they don't get in. There's no possibility. And there's no way to be like, yeah, they're in for sure. It is 100% when they make those picks and they decide who's getting in. That's all we can put our money on. There's no way to predict that scenario. And I think they're in a good spot that they've promoted themselves a lot. They've showed why they should be in. They've given reasoning after reasoning. And in something like this, social media being used to remind people of their stats and their conference play is great. I think that's brilliant on Weber to be doing that. I saw a graphic they put out that they are 5 or 6-1 against WHAC opponents. I'm not going to lie, that's smart because that's going to put a reminder in people's minds when it comes to making these selections. So good on Weber for using social media to remind people of where they are and what they did this year. That's smart. That's really smart. So they're doing all they can on their side to make a fight for the tournament. And I personally feel good about them getting in. I do. I think I feel happy. I feel upbeat. I hope they get in, but I'd be foolish to be anywhere else but that 50-50 spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really hard to predict, especially when you got to figure 4 out of the 6 voters are not from the AAC. So I would say you could almost guarantee that both AAC voters will have them in, but I could say just as likely you can almost guarantee at least 2 of them won't.
And I could also see it. I could see it being a 3-3 vote. That 3 vote that they're in, 3 vote that they're not.
Yeah, that's one thing I've thought about is like we need an odd number. Just because like I don't know, like when things get tied, if we had 7, seems like a good tiebreaker, you know?
Give us the media vote. Don't do that. Don't do that. We don't want enemies. We like you guys too much. No, that is true though. It's weird. That's really weird for it being an even number because I think in this scenario, especially, it could be a huge factor.
Yeah, I do too. Any other final?
When do we find out? When's that? I mean, obviously we have to wait for the WHAC to stop playing lacrosse, but we're still what, 2 weeks out from that or a week out from that?
I think the WHAC tournament is next week because they still have like 3 or 4 games this week. It's a little bit, I don't want to say ridiculous because that's kind of mean, but like I don't know.
It's
I wish
weird
it all
everybody
lined
not
up.
being on the same page. It is weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because they start a little bit later traditionally, just due to like the weather. But I think it's May 4th. We find out. I think. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
Man, if that's the case, may the fourth be with Weber, because I know they're going to be watching. I know they are. And if they get in, I expect a lot of great media from that as well, I will say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What do you think I guess the non-AAC people will be saying if somehow 5 AAC teams make it?
I, as an outside person of the AAC, if I see 5 AAC teams make it and I'm not an NAI lacrosse follower avidly and I don't know the picture, yeah, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be like, guys, what's going on here? Like, that's foolish. But if you look at how the AAC has performed this year in particular, and especially how their teams have performed against out of conference teams, I think there is a whole lot of justification behind that happening. I think if you take it with a level-headed sense, you look at stats, you look at matchups, I think it's a fair take.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to how much importance you put on conference tournaments. And I guess personally, I'm somewhere in between where I would put a whole lot of impact on the conference championship, whereas like coming in second or third in a conference tournament doesn't really matter too much to me in that aspect.
Yeah, well, it's the same question. If you have a team that is 500 all year, they get into their conference tournament, they end up finishing second in their conference tournament. Do you give them a bid in the nationals, or do you not give them a bid in the nationals? That's the same idea. What's the importance on?
That's a good question as well. We got to wrap up. My cat just broke some glass.
All right, guys, on that note, we wish you well and hope you're all doing awesome and look forward to seeing more NAI lacrosse. We'll tune in next week when John's cat is not breaking glass. See you guys.